Welcome to the 69th edition of Spooky Reviews from Spooky Ventures. This time around, I'm looking at the new Blu-Ray release of Night Feeder. While this is a brand new offering from SRS, the movie itself dates back to 1988. Now, this film centers on what is billed as a punk rock scene, but I'd consider it more new wave music than actual punk. Either way, someone is killing people in a very gruesome way, and a reporter and a cop are each investigating. There is a band involved, and a creepy street guy is often seen lurking. Drugs, sex, and music are all a big part of the movie. Let me get to the main negative first. A lot of the dialogue suffers from being too far down in the mix. That's made worse when loud soundtrack music is added in. And some of that music is pretty annoying, too. The only other real negative for me is that the acting is certainly exactly what you'd expect from an indie production, but there are a few shining lights in the cast, too. Now, I wouldn't really consider that much of a negative, though, because it's sort of the norm for what you expect for this kind of movie. But I found the story to be inventive. There are sections of dialogue in this that seemed particularly well written. I mean, there are exchanges that feel like they could have been lifted from a movie that would go down as a Critics' Choice film. Now, while that only applies to certain parts, most of the writing is on the better side too, particularly the dialogue. The movie has some pretty intense gore, particularly in the autopsy scene. The makeup and effects all look good. I have to admit that I really liked most of the music the band in the film played. I know I said it's new wave, but they wander into other areas, including an almost space rock jam. I had a couple working theories about who was behind the killings pretty early on. One of them was right, and I came to that conclusion the very first time I saw the character. That said, I was still not positive until very near the end of the movie, if I was right or not. And I am also not sure other viewers would have the same luck figuring it out. One thing I couldn't shake when watching this was that for some reason it reminded me a lot of Liquid Sky. Now, I should add that I haven't seen that movie in many years, so I'm going off a potentially flawed memory of it. Comparing the two, Liquid Sky is definitely on the more artsy side, while Night Feeder feels more down to earth. As groundbreaking and acclaimed as that other film was, I think this one is easier to follow. There is almost a modern day, at least a modern day at the time, film noir detective story at the heart of much of this. But ultimately, this is a horror movie, even if the mystery thriller aspect is definitely a big part of it, particularly early. I don't really want to give more away here in terms of spoilers, so I'm just going to leave it at this. The movie might feel like one type of film, but there's a lot more going on than that, impression suggests. There are some bonus features here, but they really didn't wow me very much. The film itself works pretty well as a creepy thriller horror outing. It's also a cool artifact of the era in which it was made. So, it's kind of a slice of the new wave movement and also horror movies of the time. For that reason, I would recommend it, as long as you have a caveat of what you're getting into going into it. Spooky Ventures is the home for spooky content and spooky merchandise on the web. Check it out today at spookyventures.com. And remember, always keep it spooky.